You don't want to move.
So we're coming up to a corner that I crashed at in 2024 on the Triumph, which was quite a fast crash that I had. Came into here and unfortunately ran out of road.
Yes, how we doing?
And then this is now on the way into Blig Bridge and Dorrans Bend. Fifth gear, back to fourth now at the white walls. I turn a little bit right to open the left up. And then there's two big bumps in here, and basically the sooner you're back on the throttle, the more controlled you are through here, because the throttle helps you pull the bike in. Hard drive now in fourth gear up to Laurel Bank. So a second gear out of here from Laurel Bank, what I would say Laurel Bank 1 into Laurel Bank 2. Big bump here now. Oh, you got to mind that on the brakes. This is one of the only early apexes on the track. I actually really struggle with that corner. It's just a bit weird, and you can use all the road, you can use some of the road, it's entirely up to you, but the important thing is to get back on the gas, nip third, nip fourth, and hard accelerating now up to the mile 9 marker, the Black Dub. I've never actually watched here, but yeah, it's certainly a place I'd like to come and watch, but obviously time's a bit preoccupied now, but yeah, famous Black Dub here on the right. So
Place to be.
The place to be. Back to third, and you're waiting now for your apex, which is there, and you've got to mind the front over that because it's quite a drop, and you don't want to be carrying too much lean angle over it. A fast change of direction, nip fourth gear to get back to full throttle to drive now all the way up to Rutters and Glen Helen. So yeah, out to this orange sign, full gas through here in fourth gear on the big bike, and as soon as you get around here, you're back a gear, bit of brake, out to the orange Glen Helen sign, and then back in, and I picked the gas up to drive me over this little crest, because again you gotta mind the front over a little bits like that, which you might not see entirely in the car. But yeah, change of direction, rub that white wall without literally rubbing it, back to second, and quite short-circuity around here. You know, you're quite off the bike trying to get it to turn, and this always holds water, as you can see now. The Great Manx tarmac, I believe at the minute, the rumour is the sediment where they're digging up for the roads at the minute is not brilliant in the quarry, and that's why a lot of new bits of tarmac are holding the damp patches you see on the inside versus the new and the old. It's not ideal for racing, but it just is what it is, and you know, they're hardly going to import tarmac and gravel and stuff to lay the roads over here when we've got some. But yeah, it's a shame. A really important section this, because this is your run now all the way down Cronkervoddy to the 11th milestone. So fourth gear, change the direction, quite a bit of effort for that. And then both my bikes here, just as we cross the road, get real wallowy at the rear up here, and until they sort of straighten themselves out. I try and nip fifth gear at the crest to settle the front. And you want to make this as straight a line as possible as you can, from the stone wall on the left to the curb on the right. And yeah, oh my god, fair enough. That's interesting. Oh my god. I just don't understand it. I just don't get it. It's 50 mile an hour. Yeah, and some Manx drivers are really annoying, but that was not the place to do it, in my opinion. Like, we could do it here because we know there's nothing coming, so we could very safely go around him, but not on a blind bit of the course for me. Cronkervoddy, yeah, a bit of a ballsy corner, if you want to call it that. So I'd come off the throttle in sixth gear there on the big bike. I'm looking, there it is, and now the most important thing for me through here is to get back on the gas, because as soon as you're back on the gas, you're in control. And there's a few different crests and lumps and bumps down there that like to try and unsettle the front. But if you're on the gas and you've got the weight of the bike almost at the rear, you are more in control, I feel. Jump off that little crest, throw it into that curve, and as soon as you get here, I come back 2 gears on the big bike. I go in for an apex that's slightly around the corner, hard change of direction, and I nip fifth. In 2011, my dad actually took the front here on a ZXR 400 and ended up in that air fencing, and raced the next week, and then eventually had surgery on his knee. 2 months later. But it looks very smooth here, and it's really not. It's very, very bumpy down here. Your 5th gear, full chat, down to Hanleys, and yeah, it's like bang, bang, bang down here. It's big compressions of the suspension. It'd be interesting to see anybody who runs data, what the data says, but I try and drive up to this arrow, and I come back a gear, and yeah, Hanleys is a lot of effort's required through here, so I ignore the left to a point to make sure my body is on the right to wrestle the bike in, and you know when you get it right, because your drive out of here is real good, and you nip 5th about roughly where we are now, because this little crest here is a bit more of a crest than it looks at 120, 130 mile an hour, and bike can wheelie, it can jump, it can do some things there. So I'm going to go over to the right side of the road to that white line. We're going to change it back over again now, and I've tried 2 different things. I've tried nipping 6th in the middle to help with the change of direction, so it kills the revs, which makes it a bit easier. I've tried holding it in 5th through, and I think for me there probably is much of a muchness. But yeah, this jump here, you've got like a double wheelie off it. I go off the right side of the road here because it's less of a jump. And then I now start making my way to this white cottage here, or yellow cottage here on the left, where I come try and push it a little bit past it, but I come back to 5th. And I now come back over to the black and white curbs on the right to open the top of a garrow up. And as soon as I'm now happy, I get back on the gas and drive through. I'm yet to see a nice picture of me out of here yet, but I have been trying to style it up for photographers that normally sit in a gateway here. But no, I haven't seen one yet. But yeah, there's a good wheelie off the top of that when you get it right. And obviously you want to try and not wheelie as best you can, but they do happen sometimes. So 5th gear all the way down to about now, and you shut the throttle and close your eyes a little bit, aim for the white line, and once you sort of get to the white line on the right there, you just get back a bit of gas in, because it sort of makes the bottom of the garrow a bit more controlled, if that's the right word, because it's anything but controlled through there. It's pretty nuts. A friend of mine got some videos for me, I'll show you them and put them in there, and it's yeah, it's so fast. 5th gear, no brake, yeah, and you know, if you stand there and look at that from the top, you just think, how the hell do you do that? But you do, and yeah, you get through it, and yeah, it's good. But this is the 13th milestone now. Unlucky for some. It actually was nearly unlucky for me in the other race on the 6th lapper. Because I'd had a real good run the whole way through, I took a bit more speed out of it. And this is the apex. You sort of ignore the first and aim for this yellow curve, white wall there. And because I'd actually took, to be safe, to make sure I didn't carry too much speed in, I braked more than I usually would, because I felt I had a better run and I didn't want it to catch me out. And I turned in for the first one, and normally the bike would run out to the centre line a little bit more than it did, and it meant that the curb sort of jumped up at me, and I had to take my outside leg off to like sort of throw us away from the curb a little bit. And that was the only little moment I had in 6 laps, and it was down to trying to be safe, which was weird. You know, I didn't try and go real fast through there. I tried the opposite, and it caught me out. So yeah.
What is actually going through your mind when you get caught out in situations? You got time to think? No. You react, and you think of the next apex, because if you dwell on that too much, unfortunately that's what happened to me in the 2023 Manx Grand Prix. I dwelled on it too much, and it ruins your race. So no, you understand why it happened immediately, and you go to the next apex and leave it at that corner, because there's no point in dwelling on the past. So down to Kirkmichael now, Douglas Road corner, back to 3rd I come. I've tried 4th, but I just like the punch I get in 3rd. So the grid there is painted white, because that's our apex. Somebody goes out in the darkness of the evenings and does that. Can't name who, but he's a good man and well known. 4th, and then through here it's literally just yellow line, yellow line, yellow line, yellow line. So into that yellow line on the right, out to the yellow line at the bus stop, and I normally nip 5th somewhere here, just before the traffic lights, to settle the bike through. And then yeah, now we're coming down into the heart of Kirkmichael, if you like, where you've got the houses either side, and yeah, you get a real sense of speed through here, because it's a built-up area. Yeah, and then my next point of yellow line is this one here. This curb sticks out a tiny bit, so you got to make sure you're aware of that. You wheelie down this dip into the dip, wheelie down the hill into the dip, and
yeah, again, my aim here is yellow line, yellow line, yellow line, and it's quite physical, and I'm up out the seat through the first bit to get the bike turned over for the second sort of yellow line that we're aiming for, and yeah, it's fifth gear, very, very fast. This is normally lined with people watching, so we want to be about where your wheels are now on the passenger side, and then turn the direction to that right and make sure you don't get too tight into them bushes on the right there, and then again another change of direction and full gas again, and try and use as much of the road as you can on the way out, and that's sort of your indication that you're carrying that momentum and carrying that speed through places like that. On the way now up to Rencullen, someone's going to correct me on what this first bit's called, because it is actually called something else. I would say Rencullen 1 and 2, but not. There is a different name for this one. But yeah, fifth gear, off the gas, and then drive over the jump at the 30s, land. I was coming back on the big bike. I'm back to fourth on the 765 Triumph. I now carry fifth through here to try and keep that momentum going, and you do notice that speed difference. So yeah, fourth gear now, change the direction, and now get back on the gas for this jump, because this is now your whole run to Ballaugh Bridge, and this is the key to the TT course, is trying to start that momentum early. It's a nice jump, people on the wall there, little wheelie or a jump for them, and then back in the bubble, head down, nip fifth gear before this, and you go into the first bit there, and the bike compresses, and then it wants to unload, and it just sort of finds its way around nicely, and you get a nice wheelie out of here in fifth, and it's quite a spectacular part of the course. Certainly for me, this is the section that I always say is my favourite, Kirkmichael to Ballaugh, because it's so fast and flowing. So I nip sixth about now before here at Bishop's Court. Come into the left as late as I can, so I stay on the left to open this right, and throw it in that right, and it's a real hard corner on the big bike to keep that throttle full chat. I have a little roll to change the direction, but yeah, I mean, I've seen a video of Dean Harrison using more road than anybody through there, and it's obviously showing on his lap times, you know. But yeah, then now I go curb, hedge, curb through here, curb, hedge, curb, because I use a white line somewhere else, so I have a different sort of reference for this. But again, it's quite physical to turn that bike away from that curb that jumps out at you. Sixth gear, over this first crest into Iceman's, Alpine, back a gear in the middle, and then this crest here, I sort of tickle the gas to keep some form, and then now back on the gas. Full chat through here. I need to speak to K-Tech suspension actually, because this is a place where I'm getting a bit of pump on the rear shock out of. It could just be the nature of the course, but it could just mean I need a little bit more support at the rear of my K-Tech 3-rod shock. And then yeah, we're going to get back up to sixth gear and keep it pinned now all the way to 30 mile an hour signs before you come back to second for Ballaugh Bridge.
How fast? The fastest you're going past the 30 mile an hour sign?
Yeah, I think there's a 30 mile an hour sign at Sulby, so the Sulby speed trap's there, and that's where we've recorded 190 this fortnight. Yeah, I mean, they put the speed trap at Sulby. I personally think there's an Ugly & Co t-shirt, flat track one of my favourite ones. That I'm actually wearing it myself. But yeah, I think you get quite a high top speed from the Craig down to Brandish, and actually over Crosby Leap down into the dip. But there's no speed trap there. Hey?
Wallabies crossing.
Yeah, you got to mind the wallabies. Yeah, they escaped from the wildlife park. So second gear, I sort of jump that on the throttle. I drive off it to land on the back wheel, get the front down, and then get the power going again. Third, fourth, and got a video off one of my friends through here. You can throw this in, and it just shows how fast it is through here. You nip fifth gear, so as you come on the side of the tyre now, the revs start to pick up a bit quicker because of the circumference, and so I'm nipping fifth here now. And yeah, the video I got, my friend was in there in that field, and the Pipeworks end can just sounds unbelievable. You know, it's real good, crisp sound. So yeah, fifth gear down to Ballacry. I've always quite liked this jump. It's not an issue for me because you can't see it. You know what's coming, but it just is what it is. Whereas I actually struggle a little bit with the likes of Crosby Leap, because you're looking at it for so long and you're like, am I straight, am I not? But yeah, so I've aimed for that telegraph pole, come in. A lot of the rubber's actually been washed away now because of the rain. Not ideal, but it is what it is. So I'm sort of coming out to the middle of that right side of the road where the jump is bigger, but I just let the bike decide where it wants to go, and that sort of dictated off how much speed I carry through there. And if it's the big jump, it's a big jump. If it's the smaller jump on the left, it is. But yeah, just rather than trying to pull the bike back and unsettle it or whatever, I just let the bike come out to where it wants, drive off the jump, land, get back in the bubble and nip 6th before we come into Quarry Bend. And again, there's like 3 little kickouts down here, you know, that just got to find anything to keep yourself switched on and thinking about what's next. So in this dip, I come back to 5th and I try my hardest to not touch the brake. I might feather it a little bit, but I get back on the gas now to try and keep the bike as on the right side of the road as I can. It does cross the white line a little bit, but yeah, we come back over to the right side of the road, because now this is your run down Sulby. So we come into this another grid that's painted white. That's our apex, and you know, big D of the old Milky, you know, fighting it. It takes you 3 years to get that right and all that, but yeah, it really does. It's a real hard section that to keep the speed and understand it. And I do feel like our speed trap times are showing that we're starting to understand them sort of places now. A big compression here out of this, trying to show you. That there, you know, 100 and what are you doing there? You nipped 6 on the side of the tyre. We're doing 40, but yeah, on the big bike, you're doing the best part of 160, I'd say there, maybe at a guess, and it gives you a good whack in the chest. Got to remember that left kink. The marshals do a great job of standing on the curb there, so you can sort of see it. Because of the trees, it's quite hard to see, especially on the evening practices. Sulby Straight, it's anything but just a rest, especially for this first part. Oh, another Ugly & Co hat. Nice hat, mate. But yeah, that first part, the bike is moving around, and yeah, it's now sort of a little bit of time to somewhat relax, take a few deep breaths, maybe check the temperature of the bike and check everything's running right. There's a racer and another one. Yes, mate, on the 125. Good job, mate. Yeah, sounds great, that. A full tuck as well, which I appreciate. You know, he's trying everything to get the most out of that little engine. Fair play. So there's a 30-mile-an-hour sign we've just gone past. So I would say this is probably the fastest point of where you're going past a 30-mile-an-hour sign. And the speed trap's somewhere down here now, and it's 190 mile an hour. So there's a few bumps there, but you know, trying my absolute hardest to keep the throttle full pinned all the way around there to this freeboard. That's the idea. And then now hit the brakes. And something that I've been taught this year by a good friend of mine is that when you hit the brakes, hit them really hard to begin with. Take that speed out, get down the gears, and then you have, if you have a bit of time to have to worry about, then you have more time to worry about making sure you're back on the gas, rather than scratching and trail braking and all that all the way to the apex. You know, it's more important to just take your time. So I have a pit board here in this garden on the right. Local lads did me that for the other day. A good bit of information to keep you going, you know, plus and a minus and a position. Third gear out to the curb on the right, and you got to be patient here. Got to be patient because it does suck you in, and it sucked me in once yesterday on the Supersport bike. But again, the more important thing is to get the run out of here now. I short shift fourth, because this is where the track starts to change and it starts to get real bumpy. I pull on the handlebars almost up there to wheelie that crest so it doesn't wheelie itself at the top, and then you almost jump off that driveway sort of thing down into here, and then back from fourth to third now for this. And this is another spot that holds water because of the trees, because of the new tarmac. Yesterday it held water, and unfortunately one of our competitors crashed there, Gary McCoy, and he missed all the rector cell fencing, and he's all right, but yeah, it's a place that can catch you out. You know, he's a newcomer and it's caught him out. So yeah, it's them damp patches and stuff, and it is what it is. But short shift fourth there now. Try and get back to full gas. And you want to be as close to that curb on the left as you can. Pick the bike up, and I pull on the handlebars to wheelie that, and then it lands. Rather than going off it and with two wheels on the floor and it jumping almost, by pulling on the handlebars, I find it it basically just keeps more control of the bike. Where are we going? We're going past the cyclist. So yeah, short shift fifth as soon as we land off it. Short shift sixth again now, because basically by short shifting you're just keeping the thing moving and it's not as erratic and everything. Middle right of the road, we're looking for the red sign, which you can see now, when you're on the bike and there's nothing in front of you, you can see from way back there, because that sort of gives you a good indication of where that curb is because of the blind crest nature. And sort of now turn the handlebars to keep the bike somewhat where we are now, and then full chat sixth gear over the middle right of the road, wheelie off that crest. And yeah, it's quite a ballsy little section this, and the bumps, and again another blind crest. So I know in my head for Glen Tramming I can keep the throttle going, and you get to here and you want to let off and you want to come back a gear, but you know you don't need to. So you're like, right, okay, you got there, back to fifth, back on the gas, resurfaced this now, and it's only a small surface, but it's a good change. Right in that bit of a gutter there, and then now back to fourth, two hands on the handlebars, unlike Caparossi here in front, and back on the gas, and the gas will then hold you in here to the right, and yeah, we'll keep it on the right side of the road as best we can to come back to third for I actually don't know what this is called, but yeah, another white grid there on the left for an apex. Try and keep this momentum going. This is where I retired on the first day and had to walk back all the way through a field and bridge and everything, so the bike was there. Short shift fourth, will be a fifth about somewhere here. And this year, I don't know if it's because I'm carrying more speed or what it is, but I'm getting quite a wheelie off a crest on the right, just here, where you can just see the lip, just there. A nice wheelie off there, which lands about here. Change the direction of the bike, which there was like a cycle lane here, which is sort of, we're looking at the edge of that. Full throttle as best you can for this, maybe just dip it a little bit, and now as soon as you see the crest, back on the gas, back in the bubble, and drive real hard down now to what I would refer to as Dan Neen's corner. Unfortunately, Dan Neen lost his life for this right-hander here, and to me this is his corner. So yeah, that's quite a bumpy right-hander. I come back to fourth for the way in, sort of ignore any form of a racing line through there. I want to sort of hold it now on the smoother bit of tarmac in the middle of the road, let the bike do it at once. Then I come over this grid here on the left is my reference, let the bike go light over that crest, and now a big stamp of the left leg on the foot peg and the turn of the bars to try and pull the bike out to open it up for this right. And as I come into this right, I short shift fifth now to turn the bike over again and just hold the gas full wide, because if you're in fourth gear, I find the bike's more lively and stuff, so the short shift helps to change the direction. It helps keep the gas on 100% for the bumps. And then over Milltown Bridge, which is where I walked under the bridge the other day through the river. For me, I jump that, land, throw it at the wall, and it's that simple. Don't overcomplicate it, and yeah, try and you know when you've had a good run, because you start to creep into the cycle lane there and start to really use all the road on the end. Down to Schoolhouse Corner in fifth gear. The aim is to sort of use the school exit as your braking marker / back a gear. I've started to try and just creep beyond that now as I'm starting to understand things more. So we'll be back to fourth gear, bit of brakes. They've now actually flattened a manhole cover that was here that was pronounced. It's now not pronounced, so you can use more of the road. And again, I get back on the gas early to get in and drive through the corner, because it just leaves you in control of the bike rather than the bike wandering. Use as much road as I can. I think I've been to about the dashed white line. I've not quite gone into the lay-by yet. Alright, this is Stella Maris. Quite difficult, but the camera's with you. So I try and get in early to use all the road on the exit, which is difficult because it looks like quite a daunting corner. It's 3rd gear, and at the hairpin sign is my braking marker on the right there. Back to 1st. Not a lot of time to be made here, so you just sort of make sure you get around it and don't have any silly accidents. And this is where it was holding a lot of water yesterday in the look how dirty it is all up under here. So up to 50 now. Obviously all these cones on a flying lap aren't here, and you know some people sometimes get that confused, but they are definitely not here. So yeah, Waterworks 1 here now. Yeah, now down into the end of the mile map box. Apex the 2nd one. This is that one. Bird. So we're coming up to a corner that I crashed at in 2024 on the Triumph, which was quite a fast crash that I had. So yeah, I came into here and unfortunately ran out of road. Cool spot, that old road. Obviously they've kept that in the track for the heritage of the event, and a little thumbs up from the boy there. I'm sure if it was dry he would have done me, no bother, but yeah, when we've got 4 wheels in the wet it's a bit easier. But yeah, you know, I used to go down this road all the time to and from the skate park, which is obviously at the grandstand as well, and just my whole life has been around this area, and yeah, it's pretty cool to have grown up around it and now be racing down there on the bikes and the biggest road race in the world, the Le Mans TT races.